All right, we're going to try to fix this bug. So I recently made some changes to return additional data from commands, including some better, more explicit error handling, so that if a command errors, it can return result/error, and that tells the command pipeline that it actually was an error instead of just like a normal string or result or whatever. And then the command pipeline can make a decision on how to handle that. So like if you pipe a bunch of commands together, if one of those returns an error, we can skip processing the rest of those and just fail early and return that command. Anyway, when I added that change, I accidentally kind of broke subexpressions, because when you evaluate a subexpression, instead of just returning the string itself, it's actually returning some context from the command, so it's not unwrapped properly. So you can see here, here's a simple repro case. There's a simpler repro actually. You just run any subexpression. So instead of reading this, let's actually just grab Slack and demonstrate this a little easier. So you can just echo any string, but then if we echo a sub expression, you'll see the exact same thing. So it's returning this data structure instead of just the value itself. All right, so bear with me. I haven't actually gone and figured out how to fix this yet, so it's going to be a little bit of discovery and tests and stuff like that. All right, so here we are in Yetibot core. Handle expression, that's where we're getting this command data structure from. Before, so the way this works is it takes any number of commands and reduces them across pipe commands. That's just how pipes work. So before, pipe commands would unwrap the value and the data and anything from that data structure that a command returns and give that back or return that, so that the top level handler didn't have to do anything. It just returned it as is. So if you look at our parser, the parser is what parses commands, turns them into a data structure. And the transformer, this is a function provided by instaparse. It basically just takes the parts of a parsed expression and figures out how to turn them into like an evaluated result. So the most important one is expression itself. That runs through handle expression, which we just looked at over here. So let's write a simple test that shows the exact parse tree that we're working with. We could grab one from here, but just create some scratch space and look at it. So parser, echo with the sub expression. That's what we're looking at. It's kind of hard to read. Let's pretty print it. C drive. I don't have pretty print required, so let me grab that. Oh, it didn't work right. Why not? Okay. I thought it would print correctly, but apparently not. So we'll grab it from here instead, just so we can look at it a little easier. Okay, so that is the parse tree that represents this top level command. There's a top level expression, An expression consists of one or more commands. So we have one command. A command consists of words. This is just the individual words without the white space. But then we also encode the spaces so that we can recreate them. And then we have a sub-expression here. So you can see it's just the same. It's kind of a recursive data structure. All right, so you think about parsing from the top level. Look at like the Slack adapter, for example. It's going to be calling handle raw. So let's go look at handle raw. That's in the handler namespace, the bottom, handle raw. Okay, top level command handler for commands. So this calls a new function called record and run. And I created this function to be like the top level place where commands should be evaluated. What it does is records the user's input command or body. The body could consist of multiple commands because you can embed commands in backticks, or it could be a top level single command using the top level syntax like that. So if that didn't make sense, body could be, oh, actually the doc string contains it, so never mind. Could be a command like echo hello, put that on there, or embedded commands like, so weather is an example of an embedded command. So that's how you could have multiple commands, because both of these commands would be inside of a single body. Okay, so like I said, it's this is the right place to run expressions because it'll then end up in the database, which is nice because then if we look at Yetibot dashboard, it'll show up here. Okay, so that's record and run raw. If you look at the body of the function, you can just see some logic on preparing some data to store it in the database. So record the body of the user's message if the user is not Yetibot. And we explicitly specify that it's not Yetibot. Whether it's a command, the body, correlation ID is used to tie two records in the database together, like the user's input and Yetibot's output will have the same correlation ID. And then this actually ties into our command handling pipeline. Right. Let me close this. Right here, handle parsed expression. This is what actually returns value or error. Handle parsed expression is up here, and all that's doing is running that transformer that we looked at earlier in the interpreter namespace. Or sorry, parser namespace. And like I said before, top level expressions will go into handle expressions. So it's indirectly calling that when instaparse is walking the parse tree. So handle expression, we're back here. Now, if we look again at handle raw, which is what the Slack message or any incoming message handler for any adapter, which currently is IRC and Slack, any of those adapters will be calling handle raw when they get a message. So this gets the expression results from record and run raw, but then you can see that it's actually unwrapping those results. So it's a collection, usually just one result, but it could be multiple, like I was saying with the case for multiple expressions embedded in a single body. So we run over those, which is just like map if you're not familiar, but it doesn't retain the data structure in memory because it's meant to run side effects. And for each one of those results, we destructure these 4 properties, whether it was a timeout, whether it was an embedded command, whether it resulted in an error, and the result itself. And that allows us to decide if we want to actually send those results back to Slack. So for example, if it was an error, but it was also an embedded expression instead of an explicit expression, we don't want to report the error back to Slack because people end up accidentally triggering errors when they're using backtick format for other things that they're talking about, like code or whatever. So anyway, that's one example of kind of the command handler deciding whether or not to send stuff back to chat. And that's why we didn't want to unwrap that data structure earlier in the process, like in handle expression. Okay, so that's the problem. The solution, I think, will involve unwrapping handle, the result of handle expression earlier on in the tree, which actually I'm not sure how to do, because we want to unwrap the top level expression, but so like this expression, we don't want to unwrap because handle raw needs to know these keys. Let's look at what this ends up being. So as expected, and let's put a string on the top level so it's a little easier to see. Okay. So the last thing that was evaluated was that just okay, the value is hello, and then all this junk, and then Yetibot. It's almost as if we need to retain the structure of the parse tree. And then walk it. This is actually more complex than I thought it'd be. Trying to think if there's any like indication when the transformer is running that we're not at the top level, because the top level we don't want to extract the value, but in the sublevel parsing we might want to. So like in here, even the result we get back isn't a proper walkable thing because we've stringified the sub-expression while embedding it into the parent expression. It's not very useful. So if we had like an actual tree structure, we could just walk it and flatten it out, but we don't. Let's add a failing test. I'm going to pretty print that again. All right, so we just assert that our expression tree is equal to this literal. So that's true. And then what am I doing? So if we evaluate that expression tree, we want it to equal foo bar. If it was actually working correctly, that's what it would do. So if we run it, we will see that it is not equal because it has all that junk inside of it. Let me swap these around. Okay. What in the world is going on? Okay. Trying to decide if we want to have a full expression result tree that we then have to walk with all the extra data on it, like whether it timed out or was an error or anything like that. With that full tree, or do we want to flatten results inside? So, like for example, if we composed handle expression with a function that unwraps, let's just try that and see what happens. I know we're going to lose the top level data, but let's just verify that we're sane. Those are the keys, right? Let's go back over to handler. Okay, it's just result. And then error will tell us whether the result was an error or not. Yeah, because actually I'm confused now. I think it will be an error key. Oh yeah, it'll be an error key. And then on record and run raw, that's where, yeah, we look at the value or the error. Okay, so actually we're looking for value or error from handle expression. So try to grab the value. If that doesn't exist, grab the error. All right, back to our parser test. Eval this namespace. Kind of want to just run this in isolation, so let me do that. Foo bar, so it did correctly pull it out. Let's look at one that has an error in it. Does not like that. Weird. Anytime I send something with an error string, Fireplace seems to die. Well, works in the parser, it just doesn't work in the transformer. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Okay, whatever. So this little change here kind of like restores previous behavior where everything was unwrapped. But it seems like the new behavior we want is only the top, or only the sub expressions to be unwrapped. Just looking at this expression tree. Part of the problem is that we're flattening everything, I think. So words get joined. It's string join right here. Actually, I think that's where it gets stringified. Let's change that to identity. Let's see what happens here. Oh no. Oh, wrong number of args passed, right? Oh. So words is going to be a sequence. Let's just use our other function that we had before and just return words instead of joining them. Okay. Let's try returning seek. Sure. Okay, that's not the right thing. Sequence. Vector, I don't know. I always forget which one it is. Vector. Okay, let's try that. Vector. Vector cannot be cast to car sequence. I'm confused, so I'm going to print this out, log it out, and then just return join words for now. But it freaks out if words doesn't return a string right now. Not sure why. Because command is just using identity. Oh. Oh, is it right here? No. Anyway, okay, let's try this. Words. Didn't see which one it is, so I'm gonna make it more explicit. Okay, words, yeah. A gofu. Oh, right, so the expression needs it to be a string to be able to evaluate the expression. Ah, right. Expressions can only consist of strings, so sub-expressions must be fully evaluated. Maybe we could add that error handling. Actually, I wonder if we should have a, in the parser, have differentiation between top-level expression and sub-expression. That means I'm gonna have to figure out how the parser works again. It's been a while. EXPR. Oh, we actually had sub-expression. Sub-expression. Why is it not actually getting called sub-expression? Parser, yeah, actually. So I thought it would have been explicitly labeled sub-expression. Weird. Backtick. We have sub-expression and nestable sub-expression. Why are these just being called plain expressions then? It's like we need a two-pass expression evaluation where the first pass just evaluates all expressions in line in the tree. And then we can still retain all that error information or timeout or whatever else, any kind of metadata we want on the expression. And then the second pass would take that tree and turn it into a single resulting string, deciding whether to like break on error or any of that kind of stuff. So we're not losing any information during the expression evaluation process. But now I'm confused on why we don't have sub-expression. Oh, a word can equal a sub-expression. or word characters, or left paren, or all this junk. It's getting like flattened out, my word. I forgot what it means when you surround something with brackets too. I think that means it like disappears in the parse tree. Subexpression. Look at that. So by putting subexpression back into the parse tree, we could then decide to pull out the error or the value. Let's try that. That seems like a good, let's make sure it works on multiple levels. So that's one level of nesting, but let's use our more explicit syntax. So one is one level of nesting. And then we'll call this, let's just say 2. Actually, let's get rid of the echo because it doesn't even matter if we have real commands. 1 and 2. With that, subexpression. It's pretty print, so we can visualize it a little easier. Fireplace is constantly dying on me lately. Okay, sub XPR, sub EXPR. Okay, this is kind of awesome. I still think probably long term, we want to do this 2-pass transformation thing where we retain all expression evaluation information. But for now, this is a pretty nice quick fix. If we go over here, and now that we have access to an explicit subexpression, so EXPR, the contents are going to be, it's always just going to be an expression, right? Yep. It'll be the result of handle expressions. So this goes back, let's get rid of this. That was already correct. And then expression goes back to being just handle expression. And then the result of that will have either value or error, so we can destructure that. All right, destructure that, and then just pull out whichever one, value or error. Right, so if we go back to bug, look at this data structure that gets pulled out, so it'll have value. Right, value, we can have data, which we ignore because we never display data unless the data command takes it and formats it for us. Value and data, and then there's no error here because there wasn't an error, but it could exist. Okay, expression. foo bar, so the value is correct. So we only see, all right, that worked. All right, I'm gonna restart the bot because sometimes messing with the parser and handler stuff screws up. The actual functions being used by Slack. I need to make Yeticast fully reloadable, but it's not currently. And that means our test should pass once I actually pull the value out. Okay. Delete all this stuff once we make sure it's working. Get a little bigger. Okay. Is the Yeticast online? Sweet. Okay, that seems to work. What about errors? So that's a good example of why we probably want to retain the full metadata structure for expression evaluation, because currently it's just like string substitution, which is going to look a little weird for errors, especially if you have like a more complicated command like multiple levels of nesting. It's probably fairly rare. But yeah, that's kind of awkward. However, it's better than what we had before, so let's ship it. Okay, repeat was our other issue. Let's clean up our test real quick first. Looks right for that. I don't know why your stuff is failing. Oh, everything else is failing because we reintroduced the sub expression. I don't even know what you call this, a fragment of the parse tree, I guess. So as a result, tons of other things. Other parse trees are not correct, so let's just go through these and fix them all. Just verify them one at a time. Okay, expected, actual, you see it has a sub expression. So in those cases, I'm just gonna go like that. Oh. Failure, wait, is that a failure? No. Wait, it should be. Yeah. Substitute it for that one. Wait, never mind. That was our test that we just added. Yeah. So what? I have no clue what that output means. Why is the diff nil? Oh, he was running 2. Okay. Right. So this did change when we added the subexpression. Trying to make it a little easier to read here. All right. Piped commands shouldn't change. True. Subexpressions will change. Subexpression. Another subexpression. That is a weird diff. So I don't know why this is on multiple lines. Oh, it has a space in it. Okay, I guess that's why. New line should preserve the new line. I'm gonna have some crazy tests here. All I'm doing is evaluating these expressions inline. So I copy it, paste it, and then evaluate it inline by sending it to the REPL. And then just double check. Got some literal stuff. Just test the whole namespace too. Apparently I still have one failure. That would be it. Wait. Yeah. Type sample, ability to unparse an expression back to its original form. Oh, yeah. Oh. Good thing I have a test for that because I recently added unparsing. We're going to have to be able to handle expressions for that too. So let's see how it fails. And then unparse. Yeah, so that subexpression did not get parsed out. I think I just need to make it string. Sweet, that was it. Let's add another one just to double check. A little more complex, maybe with multiple levels. Do that one there. Two levels of nesting using both syntaxes. And then let's do, actually, let's put them both in here. Just be another is. Cursor, sub. Okay, so unparsing will not preserve the backticks. We could preserve them, I bet, if we, like earlier, went back up to our grammar and preserved the backticks so that we could reconstruct them, but I'm not too worried about it at this point. So that's kind of an interesting caveat, but is equal I'm actually going to explicitly test like backticks are not preserved. Ability to unparse expression with sub-expression. Reconstructed using X preserved. Okay, just want to make that explicit since we decided not to support it. Okay, all the tests are passing. Oh, I didn't even check out a branch. Let's check that issue 784. Add it up to that. Fix 784. Fix 784. Push this branch. Oh, right. This is Yetibot core, so I have to give it the full URL because we're fixing an issue in Yetibot from Yetibot core. So I'm going to amend my commit and force push it to the branch. Okay. Refresh. You can see that commit linked. Open a pull request. So this only fixes the sub-expression part. The repeat part, that's actually pretty simple, but it's in Yetibot itself, not in Yetibot core. So I'm going to take this out and create a separate issue for it. Just call this value or error extraction of sub-expressions. Save that. New issue. And repeat. Okay, new issue. All right. Travis is pending. Just take a look at our diff here to make sure everything looks good. So by removing these backticks, we retain the sub-expression in the expression tree, the parsed tree from instaparse. And that allows us to give more explicit handling of sub-expressions and differentiate them from top-level expressions, which we do right here by extracting value or error, well, value and error, and then returning either one, whichever one's non-nil. And then this is the unparse. Expand that a little bit. Unparsed transformer just uses string. In our test, we changed all the tests to include the new sub-expression tree. So everything's a little bit more verbose because we now have more information, basically. And then we added a test for our exact, to repro the problem we were having here. So we would expect the evaluation of that to equal foo bar. And the bug was saying that that was not exactly what was happening. Instead, it was this stringified map. These are all changes to add the additional sub-expression. And we just added an extra test that shows that backticks are not preserved in sub-expression unparsing. So that's it. Looks like it works. And errors are a little weird like this when you have nested errors, but it's such a rare case that I'm not going to worry about it for now. Waiting for the test to pass. One failure. Actual. Oh, test embedded commands. Right. So we have another command. Testing namespace, test util command. Yep. What's the problem? Diff. Did we just introduce a problem? Yes, we did. We broke embedded commands. So embedded commands is a function that, well, the docstrings tell you, parses the string and returns a collection of any embedded commands. So this is looking for things like echo, which we know is a built-in supported command versus like temp is not. It could be an alias, but we're only interested in finding things that are top-level commands. So that's an util command. And the reason that broke is because the shape of our parse tree changed and got more verbose. Let's actually look at what that is. Over here. Oh. So we're going second rest. Let's look what that is. Oh, and then that's the sub-expression right there. It's looking for expressions. So I think all we have to do is say like first or something. Or second, actually. What? Okay. Oh. Trying to see which one. So we just grab first? Because before that whole sub-expression parent vector wouldn't have even existed. Expressions. Just worried we're going to skip over something. Let me look at this a little closer. That's all junk. So we actually want to filter down to sub-expressions and then look at the first thing inside of it. So sub-expression. Let's take a peek at it here. So that quickly drilled us down to sub-expressions. And then we just grabbed the first thing out of those, I think. Or like first. Oops. Or no, for each of those we grab the first. Or second. Okay, now we are down to our two expressions. And then filter, this filter just works as is. It should. Oh, your temp. Yep. All right. Just had to drill down a little bit more. This is the sub-expression. Oops. Okay. Passes. The diff. So that's all it was. We looked for sub-expressions, and then we said map second to pull the actual expression out of the sub-expression. Let's wait for that to pass. We can also look at our dashboard. So this command resulted in this nested error. Let's just make sure everything runs locally. Cool, it worked. So that's it. Thanks for watching.